Yo, still Mills, what's the deal, man? I'm exhausted, man. Uh, man, I made a video earlier, man, and I was talking about how my son he been just up whining all day, ain't let me get no sleep, man. It's really starting to hit me. I'm exhausted. I'm ready to get back home and crawl in my bed and just go to sleep, man. I'm exhausted, like beat down. I was supposed to go to the gym today. Can't do it. I have no energy to do it. So, yeah, man, I'm heading off to go get the wifey something to eat. I'm heading back to the casa. But peep game, I want to talk about something. That's just the next fight that I wanted to talk about was Oscar Duarte versus Richardson Hutchins. That's happening on the undercard of the Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios fight, man. This is another fight that I'm kind of torn between on who I think is going to win, because I've seen both of them. Well, I haven't really seen Oscar Duarte, to my recollection, only has one loss, and that loss didn't come by of a dude who is a cerebral fighter. And Hutchins doesn't have any losses on his resume, man. So, but the difference is I haven't really seen Oscar really go through the gears like that with a fighter with the same fighting identity as that of a Richardson Hutchins, man. We saw Hutchins in there with Gustavo Lemos, and Gustavo Lemos was able to get all up in his chest and just kind of have his way with him. Now, granted, he did bounce back with Liam Paro in particular, and George Kambosos. But both of those dudes are kind of like boxer punchers, or they box when they need to, and they box when they need to, and they brawl when they need to. Man, I think. When you're dealing with a pure boxer, I think it's someone who's just committed to swarming and being a pressure fighter has a little bit more of a higher success rate than that of a dude who's in between. Someone who's really more overtly committed to just getting closing the distance and initiating exchanges. That they have a bit more of a higher success rate when it comes to pure boxers. And I thought Liam Paro would have been able to do the job because of how Hutchins looked in there with Gustavo Lemos, a dude who's a lot smaller than him, and just isn't as rangy and isn't as proven. Liam Paro went in there, beat Montana Love, stopped him, and then went over there to motherfucking Puerto Rico and did that to Subriel Matias, man. So I thought that he would have went in there and been able to, come out victorious in that fight, but he didn't. And, so credit to him. But I think when you look at someone like an Oscar Duarte, it's no conflictions on where he stands at as far as his fighting identity is concerned, man. He knows what he is. He's not trying to be in here and be no back foot dominant type of fighter. He's coming in there to get in your chest, fight you on the phone booth, forehead to forehead, and do damage, significant damage, as much damage as he can do. And I've seen Richardson Hutchins, really labor with an individual with that style. And I've also seen Oscar Duarte. Man, he's done pretty good with slicksters, with back foot fighters. Like I said, I'm more impressed with Oscar Duarte and how he's dealt with back foot fighters than I am with Richardson Hutchins dealing with a pressure fighter and Gustavo Lemos, because a lot of people did feel that Kenny Sims won that fight. I personally don't see how you can feel that way. I think America is just so conditioned to think that if you're fighting off of the back foot and you're keeping distance between you and the fighter, they'll ignore every nuance going into that fight and just focus on the fact that for that 10 or 15 seconds you was able to maintain distance between you and that pressure fighter, and you may not take as much damage. And your connect percentage and all things of that nature would be a lot higher, significantly higher than that of a pressure fighter. But as far as output goes, but the punches landed to be a different ball game. So people just get it fucked up that oh shit, he fighting out of the Philly shell, he fighting off of the back foot, so that's the only way to skin the cat. That's the only way that you can win the fight. There's no way a pressure fighter can go in there and close distance and or just if you do close distance because you're good defensively, they'll ignore the work rate. They'll ignore you pinning them to the rope, painting them to the rope in the turnbuckle. They'll ignore the fact that you're countering them mid-ring. They'll ignore the fact that you're landing combinations mid-ring and all that shit. And they'll just focus on the fact that you're not hitting them as much. They'll ignore the output. They'll ignore the punches landed. They'll just really focus on the connect percentage and the efficiency of the fighter and the fact that you was able to maintain distance for a slight bit of time and you defended yourself come on, my nigga, go slightly a little bit better. They'll ignore all them other nuances because, you know, that's just the mind of the American boxing public, man. I think that shit is sickening. But nonetheless, I like how Oscar Duarte handled himself with, you know, slicksters as opposed to the slickster and Richardson Hutchins dealing with a pressure fighter. Now, does that mean I think Oscar Duarte is going to win? Nah, that doesn't necessarily mean he wins. That doesn't mean he wins at all. He has a fight on his hands, man. Because I don't think Kenny Sims is as good as Richardson Hutchins. I think Kenny Sims is he's a good fighter. He's definitely a good fighter. But I think that Richardson Hutchins he's sharper. I think he's a sharper puncher. I think he manages distance a little bit better than Kenny Sims. He's bigger, of course. Well, no, they're both listed at about 5'10". But he's a little bit bigger. He's sharper with his punches, quicker on the counter. You know, better technique on the shots. I think he's a better, with that same style. I think he's a better specimen within that style. But nonetheless, Gustavo Lemos is not better than Oscar Duarte. So, you know, it's one of them situations where it's, you know, I don't know. I'm not so sure, man. I like this fight. That's all I can really say about it. I love this fight. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a pick 'em fight, man. I think it's easy to say that, you know, Richardson Hutchins, because of his style, you're gonna go and, you know, it's smarter to go. And then honestly, it is smarter to pick him in this, you know, in this matchup. But I think that just if what we saw with Gustavo Lemos is an indication of the near future, then this fight is going to be a lot more competitive and compelling than we think it is, man. Richardson Hutchins isn't a nigga that, you know, he likes to. He's a nigga who, like, you know, he's a really good counter puncher, man. But under certain circumstances, when people is up in your chest a lot of the time, man, it's, you know, they don't have that level of that higher level of success with counter punching as they would with someone who they can keep at the mercy of their straight shots. When you get in there and you contradict all that shit, man, you sense a level of duress and uncomfortability within them. So they not quicker to let go of pull the trigger. They're not quicker to pull the trigger as opposed to when there's somebody who's just, you know, they can't get past their jab or they straight, or they can't find a way to neutralize that, you know, them pivoting out and shifting and all that. So we seen that with Richardson Hutchins when he fought fucking Gustavo Lemos. We saw that, and that's what's really having me scratching my head. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I really don't know. So, nonetheless, I'm excited for the fight. Those two fights in particular. I'm excited for the fight. I think it's a dope matchup. You know, stylistically, it's you know, historically, it's a dope matchup. Historically, I think it's going to be a lot more entertaining than it was with Liam Power and Richardson Hutchins. You know, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm rooting for Oscar Duarte. I am, because I don't like the silly shit I see from Richardson Hutchins, man. I'm seeing a lot of goofy shit from a lot of these heathens up here in America, man. They just like, man, well, y'all niggas just stop all the diva shit and get in there and brawl out. So, you know, some motherfuckers is just, they just want to come in there and they just want to bang out or fight, you know, without going through all the antics and, you know, the publicity stunts and all that shit to try to say how to sake of selling the fight, man. That shit don't work with everybody. And it gets corny after a while. And Oscar Duarte is a dude who's, you know, he just don't come across as that, you know, that braggadocious ass dude who want to be known, who want to be loud and want to be known, man. So I'm going with Oscar Duarte in this fight, but I can't pick a winner because I don't know. I've seen Richardson Hutchins under duress with this same base style, and that's called, you know, that's giving me cause to pause. So yeah, and like I said, I haven't seen, the only person I've seen, and even when he got knocked out by Ryan Garcia, he was putting it on Ryan Garcia before he had that level of success that he had. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm rooting for Oscar. I really am. I want Oscar to be able to get the job done. It's just about, can he get the job done? Well, that we will find out come this Saturday. And I hope he does what it is that he does and continue to put on for the pressure fighters, because I'm a pressure fighter, my damn self. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it, man. I'm about to go up in here and grab my grub for my wifey and head back home and put my head on the pillow and go to fuck to sleep, because I have no energy left. I will see y'all when I see y'all on the next video. Deuces.